All right, this is Math 2, Unit 12, Worksheet 4. We're going to go over arc length, area of sectors. The first 9 problems, though, are where we are finding the measure of each arc in circle B. So you can see over here we have circle B. Let's zoom it in just a little bit. Okay, and what we're doing is we're finding the measure of each arc. So in these problems, measure would imply, when we're finding the measure of an arc, that means we're finding the answer in degrees. So number 1, G to J, we want to know how many degrees that is. Well, because that angle right there is 90 degrees, that means arc G to J is going to be 90 degrees. So number 1 is 90 degrees. Number 2, what's the measure of arc H to I? Well, if you notice, arc H to I would be this little arc right here. Well, how do we find that? Well, if you notice, if this angle right here in the center is 90, then angle GBH right next to it would have to be 90, which would make arc GH 90. Now you may be asking, hey Mr. Trutna, why are you finding that arc? I'm trying to find this little arc here. Well, what I'm going to do is, I notice that there's this arc H to G, plus this arc G to J, plus this arc J to I, which by the way is 151 degrees, plus this little arc right here. They encompass the entire circle. So what I do is, I take the 3 arcs that I know, the 90 and the 90, and the 151, I add those up, whoops, plus the 151, I add those up, I get 331, and then to find H to I subtract 331 from 360. So H to I is going to be 29 degrees. Okay, number 3, arc HIJ's measure, so that means when we have 3 letters, that means we're going to start at the first letter, we're going to go through the middle letter, and we're going to end at the 3rd letter. So H to I, and by the way, we just found that arc to be 29 degrees, plus, then I'm going to go around the J. So this one's going to be 29 plus 151. Okay, so that would be 180 degrees. So HIJ would be 180 degrees. I really didn't even have to measure that because H to J is a diameter, so that would be half of the circle. Okay, number 4, arc GJI, so I'm going to start at G. I'm going to go to J, so that's 90, and then I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to stop at I. So it's going to be 90 plus 151, so that's going to be 241 degrees. Okay, number 5, arc GHJ, so I'm going to start at G. I'm going to go to H, which is 90, and then I'm going to keep going around. I'm going to add 29 to that, and I'm going to end up over here at J. So I'm going to go 90 plus 29, which is 119, and then I'm going to add the 151 to that. Okay, so 119 plus 151 is going to give me 270 degrees. All right. Okay, arc HJI, so I'm going to start at H. I'm going to go around the circle through J, and I'm going to stop at I. So you can see it's the entire circle except for that 29 degrees. So in this case, the easier way to be would be just take the entire circle, 360, subtract 29 from that, and that would give you 331 degrees. Number 7, arc HGJ, so I'm going to start at H. I'm going to go through G, and I'm going to end at J. Well, that's half of the circle. Okay, so that's going to be 180 degrees. Number 8, arc GHI, so I'm going to start at G. I'm going to go to H, which is 90. Then I'm going to stop at I, which would be 29. So I'm going to go 90 plus 29. So that's 119 degrees for number 8. And lastly, number 9, arc JIG, so I'm going to start at J. I'm going to go all the way around the circle. You can see through I, I'm going to end up at G. So you can see that's the entire circle except for this 90 right here. So the easiest way would be take the entire circle, subtract the 90, so that would be 270 degrees. Okay, numbers 10 through 15, we're going to find the length of each darkened arc, and we're going to leave our answer in terms of pi. So remember, what we're doing is we're finding the length of an arc. Okay, so in all of these problems, I'm going to use the arc length formula, which is I'm going to take pi, I'm going to multiply it by the diameter, and then I'm going to multiply that by the fraction x over 360, and x is going to stand for however many degrees it's going to be the measure of the arc. Okay, so in number 10, To find the arc right here, I am going to take pi. I'm going to multiply that by the diameter. The diameter is going to be twice my radius. My radius is 9, so that's going to be 18. And then I'm going to multiply that by the fraction. I'm going to have 360 as my denominator, and my numerator is going to be the measure of the arc, which is marked as 120. Okay, so I'm going to have that. Now, remember when we do this on our calculator, I work from right to left, so I work kind of backwards that I wrote it. So I'm going to go 120 divided by 360. A lot of times you're going to get a yucky decimal. Don't worry about it. Then I'm going to multiply that by 18, and I get 6. All right, so my answer is going to be 6 pi for number 10. So there's my length of that. And then I put in the measurement, which would be inches. Okay, number 11, I'm going to follow the formula again. So I'm going to take pi. I'm going to multiply it by the diameter. The diameter of number 11 is 18. And then I'm going to multiply it by the fraction. The denominator of the fraction is going to be 360. And the numerator is going to be how many degrees that arc is. Well, if that's 30, and then we have a diameter, so that's going to be 150. So I'm going to go 150 divided, so to work this out, to simplify it, I'm going to go 150 divided by 360. I get that yucky looking decimal, don't freak out. Multiply that by 18, and so that's your answer, 7.5 pi. 7.5 pi feet for number 11. Number 12. Okay, so once again, I'm going to take the number to find the arc length. I'm going to take the number pi. I'm going to multiply it by the diameter. The radius is 20, so the diameter is 40. Then I'm going to multiply that by the fraction. My denominator of my fraction is 360 for a full circle. And then the number I put on the numerator will be how many degrees the darkened arc is. Well, you can see the undarkened part is 45. So 360 minus 45 is 315. So then my fraction is going to be 315 out of 360. So really, I'm finding what fraction of the circumference would be my answer. So I simplify 315 over 360 by dividing it out, multiply that by 40, and I'm leaving my answer in terms of pi, so I get 35 pi. And then we're talking about meters here. Number 13. So once again, I'm going to take the number pi. I'm going to multiply it by the diameter. Well, the diameter is 24. And then I'm going to multiply that by the fraction, 360. And then my numerator is going to be how many degrees the darkened arc is. Well, it's the entire circle except for 90. So that would be 270 out of 360. And then once I get my formula set up, I just use my calculator. So I'm going to go 270 divided by 360. Basically, I'm reducing this fraction into a decimal. Then I multiply that by 24, 18 pi for number 13. Inches would be the answer.